Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're back. It's Gangs All Here, our New York Jets podcast from the New York Post. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on Twitter. My co-host is Brian Costello, Jets beat writer for the New York Post, at Brian Cos on Twitter. No guest today. We still got a lot to talk about here as we react the days after, the aftermath of Aaron Rodgers being out for the season. Zach Wilson is QB1. The Jets have not brought anyone in this week to become a backup. It's Wilson and Boyle for now. Now they're going to say Wilson's the guy for the year. We'll see if that remains the case. For now, Zach Wilson is the Jets starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. And barring him being as bad as he was last year, which you hope he's gotten better since then, he's going to be the guy. It's Zach's team now. We will look ahead on this episode to Jets-Bills on Sunday, 4:25 p.m. The Bills coming off a thrashing of the Giants where they won 40-0 at MetLife Stadium. Now the Jets will go to Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. You hope the defeat isn't bigger than the one they just handed the Giants. So we'll preview that game. But a couple days later, you have a chance to breathe a little bit, let the emotions get to the side. Jets fans can breathe a little bit better now. It's over for Rodgers. The season is over. You just have to move on and realize the Jets are 1-0. They have an elite defense. They have an elite roster. If the quarterback can improve and do good things and play mistake-free, there's no reason to just be doom and gloom right now. Because, of course the Super Bowl shots have taken a hit, but there's no reason the Jets can't make the playoffs still. And that's the silver lining here, is that they won the game and that they could still make the playoffs. And who knows from there? Once you're in it, you just never know. And Jets fans, you can't be greedy because they haven't been to the playoffs in a dozen years. So a playoff appearance would be a big deal. From 4 wins to 7 wins to 9 or 10 in a playoff spot would still be a big deal, even though it's not going to involve Aaron Rodgers. And they'll have a tough test this week. This is a tough test going up against Micah Parsons and company and the Cowboys. But Jets fans, a little bit better spirits now. Aaron Rodgers did finally react. He posted it on Instagram, and I'll talk about it with Kaz here in a second. I will rise again. I shall rise yet again. I feel like a new Batman movie was coming out. Thank you to every person that has reached out, called, texted, DM, connected through a friend, etc. It has meant a ton of me, and I'll try and get back to you all soon. I'm completely heartbroken and moving through all the emotions, but deeply touched and humbled by the support and love. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers as I begin the healing process today. The night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again. That was pretty sick. Proud of my guys, 1-0 with a Jet emoji. So Rodgers reacts. He's done for the year. And now you see what he does provide to the team. Everyone wanted to say this team is coached by Aaron Rodgers. Well, now you're going to see it. Coach 1A next to Robert Saleh. Coach 1B, if you want to say, next to him and Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett can now collaborate with Rodgers and Saleh for this team and also provide motivation. Early on, these next couple of weeks, you don't expect Rodgers to be there. He's got to heal. We get it. But, by sometime in October, maybe, could he be on the sidelines in whatever crutches, in a wheelchair? It'd be kind of, not funny. It'd be kind of cool to see Rodgers wheeled out there. It's like Willis Reed, except he's in a wheelchair and they wheel him out and the crowd goes crazy. But now you see the off the field stuff, the sideline stuff, the throw it to Malik stuff that we saw in, on Hard Knocks and in preseason where, he said, throw this up to Malik, and he did. Like, they're going to have him mic'd up. They're going to have clips. If he's there, they're going to still try to get all the Rodgers content they can out of this season. And I don't think he's going to hate it. I don't think he hates the attention, the spotlight. So if he could still help this team as a tutor, a leader, a motivator. I mean, think about it. If he's in crutches, comes in a locker room, got teams, whatever, 3-2 or something, he comes back. You don't think that team's going to be fired up and play for A-Raj? I feel like it could be a hell of a storyline. It could turn into something special if he's there on the sidelines, being that cheerleader, being that motivator. It can add an extra layer to this Jets season. I mean, it's already been a book already. But you can't sit on your hands and your feet, for weeks now, thinking, damn, no A-Raj. Damn. I mean, it's over. That's it. You kind of just put that in the past. You move on. You get ready for Dallas, and you get ready for the gauntlet that's ahead of you and the schedule that is ahead of you. And this is no easy task on Sunday going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Carl Lawson is expected to be back this week. I think that's going to be big for the Jets defense. But, it's not going to be an easy game. The Jets are 9-point underdogs Sunday in Dallas. So let's look ahead of that game and talk everything Jets with my co-host now, Brian Costello. Guys, the Jets didn't bring in a quarterback this week. Is it a wait and see kind of approach here? We know Wilson's the guy, Boyle's the backup, but are they going to bring in the coming weeks, you think, someone to at least work out, a Carson Wentz, a free agent, whoever it may be?
Somebody will be here at some point, Jake, but it's a short week. They were Tuesday hitting the ground running, game planning. They wouldn't really have any time to be trying out quarterbacks. I would think maybe they try out quarterbacks Friday this week before the game, and maybe they sign one Monday or Tuesday to be the backup. But it's going to take a while for anyone to get up to speed unless they've been in Nate Hackett's offense previously. And I do think this guy is a true backup, Jake. This isn't going to be someone that you're like, oh, they're going to fight for the job. I think it's going to be an underwhelming name when they do sign someone.
After seeing the full list of names, did any jump out to you? You didn't like my list, but is there any singular name that you like?
Look, whoever you want to bring in as a backup is fine. Zach Wilson is going to get, my guess is Zach has till the bye week at least, right, to do this. They've invested in Zach when they made the decision to keep him and try to rehabilitate his career. They're all in on Zach Wilson. So the next time they pull the plug on Zach Wilson, that's the last time, I think. So I think they'll wait a while until they do that. They believe that they can win with running the ball, playing defense, and Zach just not turning it over. So we'll see. But I think all the talk about who the next quarterback could be is way premature. I think it's going to be a while unless there's an injury, of course.
Kaz, do you think Zach should be the guy, part one? And two, do you think he will be an improved quarterback after all that we saw in the offseason, the confidence being boosted up? Do you think he will be a different quarterback this year?
Well, one, I think this decision was made, Jake, whenever, January, February, March, whenever they decided, hey, we're Zach's going to be the number 2 quarterback. We're not bringing in somebody to be above him. We're not going to cut him loose or trade him or anything like that. And then we thought they couldn't trade him, but cut him loose. They decided to stick with him. Once they did that, yeah, he had to be the guy. You can't say, oh, he's the number 2 quarterback all this time. And then when you need a number 2 quarterback, oh, no, he's not. Cast him aside. They've put a lot into him. He's spent the last 5 months working toward this. So I think this decision was made a long time ago. I don't think he could change course now. Is he improved? I haven't seen it, Jake. There's nothing I saw in training camp that made me think he's a different quarterback. I think he's matured a little bit. I don't think the locker room is going to be an issue this year. I think he's a little more humble. I think he's seemed relating to his teammates a little more. I think Rodgers has helped him in that regard. So I think that helps, but I just need to see it, Jake. I mean, there was one memorable throw all training camp from him, and that was the Hall of Fame game, the deep pass to Malik Taylor. The rest of it was just kind of And I thought what you saw Monday night was emblematic of Zach when he's okay enough to win. It wasn't anything flashy. He threw one bad interception. He made a couple nice throws on 3rd down. But nothing you're like, oh my God, even the touchdown throw was not a good throw. Garrett made a ridiculous play on that. If he plays like that, you can win a game. If he throws 3 interceptions like we've seen before, or just can't complete a screen pass, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the Malik thing because I brought that up in the open. Is that it's not going to happen immediately because Rodgers is going to have to heal and it's going to take a few weeks. He might not be here to October, but now Rodgers becomes that guy we saw on the sidelines, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the motivator, the guy in the locker room that when he does come back, maybe he fires these guys up and it's the rallying cry is let's do it for Aaron. Like, do you think he could have that role here? Because a lot of people joke Saleh's not the head coach, Aaron Rodgers is the head coach. Well, now we could see what kind of leadership role he provides in games that matter, right?
I don't think it's really the games, Jake. I don't think he can do anything on game day to help Zach Wilson. A little bit here and there if he sees stuff, but I think it's more in the meeting rooms. If he's like, players go one of two ways when they have a season-ending injury. Some of them go home and they just don't come back, and they go home. They might have a doctor they like there that they work with, and you don't see them again. Others stay in the building and work all season with the Jets staff. So we'll see which way Rodgers goes. Yeah, and if he's there and he's in the meeting rooms every day, that can help Zach. He'll be another coach for Zach in that regard. I think the game day thing probably would be a little overstated. But yeah, we'll see. I would think Aaron will be here. But we'll see what he does.
Yeah, the fan base, guys, I think after having a few days to kind of just breathe a little bit here, the emotions of a day or two after with Rodgers, it stings. But now you realize, you know what? You move on. You're 1-0, and you're still good enough to be a playoff team. And Zach Wilson's just got to be a better quarterback. So I think fans have kind of moved on. I was a little surprised of how positive Beningo was. Beningo was on the fan and was, he's like not even worried at all. He thinks Zach could turn this thing around and this all could be roses. I was a little surprised that he wasn't as doom as gloom as I thought he'd be. Maybe retirement for him. He's been a little bit more positive.
Check in Sunday night, Jake. That's what I would say. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of. I think people are twisting themselves into a pretzel trying to believe in Zach Wilson, and I get it. You don't want to say after 1 week your season's over, but this is going to be if they make the playoffs, Jake. I mean, Robert Saleh deserves Coach of the Year. Like this is going to be. I thought it was going to be difficult for them to make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. With Zach Wilson, I give it a very, 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 very slim chance that they make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, looking back on it, it really showed how resilient that win was. One of the more resilient wins from the Jets in a long time to find a way to win that football game after that devastating of an injury that early in the game. I mean, he thought it was over in the first quarter. So, maybe it's a new dawn, a new day, a new life for me. And it's a new dawn, a new day for Rodgers as he is reacting on Instagram with a quote that you would have thought you saw in a Batman movie, Kaz. He said, the night that actually is that from Batman, actually? He said the night is
it's from a philosopher from the 1500s, Jake. It's been used a lot since then, but it was a philosopher from the 1500s.
Do you know what philosopher Hearts? Find out what philosopher it was.
I can't remember his name.
That said, the night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise again. I feel like you were coaching on a softball field when you read that message and it fired your team up.
No, I was in the car and someone sent it to me. But yeah, I mean, look, I think that's a strong indication he'll be back, which was a question mark. So you got to be excited for that he's going to try to come back for next season.
I could not envision Rodgers' career ending like it's just the ego, the dignity. I don't think he would ever end it like that.
The hard part now is Jake is the work. I think the only chance he retires now is like if he puts in two months into this thing and it's like, oh my God, this is just too much. Like, I don't know. I feel like doing this every day. Then maybe he bags it. But I would think the competitor in him would fight through it and come back.
Thomas Fuller, an English theologian, whatever that means, is the guy from the 1500s who said that quote. Yeah, I mean, Jets fans are praying that he does come back because it would be all the jerseys, the stories, everything for it to never even happen would be quite depressing. All right, Jets-Cowboys coming up this week, Sunday, 4:25. Of course, Tony Romo is on the call with Jim Nantz on CBS. I still don't like that he calls Cowboys games. It just pisses me off. Same with Troy Aikman. I mean,
how would you feel if Mark Sanchez was calling the Jets game? He called the Packers game last year.
I find Sanchez is, I got to say, he's very entertaining. He has great, cultural references he makes reacting to plays and breaking down plays. He's gotten very good at it. I think It started slow, but I think he's very entertaining on the broadcast.
But you have no problem with him as a, you know,
I guess he wasn't as good, so it doesn't matter. But like,
I
you're
think he has
right. I
really
mean,
good stuff. It doesn't. I think these guys do a good job of not being biased towards it. I've never sensed Romo's biased toward the Cowboys or anything like that.
Aikman, I sense a little bit, but maybe not Romo, but Aikman, I feel like I've definitely sensed it. I mean, he's called so many Cowboys games, but when you're getting $1 million a game, $1 million a week, whatever it is, 2 million, you can do whatever you want. This Cowboys team, Kaz, just demolished the Giants. They shut them
Yeah.
down at MetLife Stadium 24 hours prior to the Jets beating the Bills. And this defense is going to be good. I think the Jets, Kaz, are going to have to get creative. I love my reverses
There we
and
go.
screens, but
Reverses,
I
screen
mean,
passes,
McCole Hardman
double
was a
pass.
non-factor in week 1. He's got to get involved. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to get rid of the ball quick. You got to, fool this Cowboys defense, because if you hold this ball too long, Zach Wilson will be down on the ground in Dallas. So I think Hackett's going to have to get creative. You said it, like Zach hasn't practiced, with the first squad. Now he's there practicing with the starters. So I don't know. I think you got to get creative, Kaz.
He's got to get the ball out of his hands quick, Jake. I don't know if that's creative or just getting just having plays that are quick, three-step drops. That's never been Zach's strength. I think I saw a stat from Monday that Zach's time from snap to release was the longest in the NFL in week 1. He's always struggled with that. If he does the let's run 20 yards backwards, spin around, try to make a play crap in this game, he's going to get killed. So, can they get that through his head? I don't know this week. Like he's got to just throw the ball quickly. And that's on Nathaniel Hackett. It's on Todd Downing to get him to do that. I don't think they have to run every trick play in the book, Jake. I just think they have to execute the offense, and just you're not going to throw deep passes against this team. The offensive line, I thought the Jets' offensive line was very good in the run game Monday. They were not good pass protection. I think they had the worst pass block win rate in the NFL last week. This obviously is a very, very tough pass rush led by Micah Parsons. So the best thing the Jets can do this week, Jake, is run the ball.
I was going to say they got a ground and pound with Brees. Brees had 10 carries. Cook had 13. They had 23 for 160. But again, one of those was an 83-yard run for Brees. So, Kaz, I think they might have to run the ball 30 times probably?
Problem is, I don't know how many times Brees can run the ball right now, Jake, right? I know he looked great, but you don't want Brees getting the ball 20 times in a game right now. I just don't think that's smart. I'm not a doctor, but I think they're still bringing him along. I don't think he's all the way 100% ready to do that. So that's going to be Cook, which he's another guy. He had no practice in training camp. So I'm not sure he's ready for that kind of thing, but I do think they need to run the ball more, maybe get Michael Carter involved, passes to the running backs, screens, swing passes. Just, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, Jake. And then you kind of have to scrap that if you fall behind, right? So it's going to be on the defense to keep them in the game.
I think Zach Wilson is either allergic to tight ends or does not like his tight end, because once again, one catch, 2 yards for Tyler Conklin, or maybe he just can't find them down the middle of the field. I don't know what it is, but you talk about screens. Let's see a tight end screen. Let's see Uzomah and Conklin involved. These are two big guys, good tight ends who come to the Jets and have done almost nothing. I mean, I remember how pumped up the fan base was when you get Uzomah, and he's been almost a non-factor, at least in the receiving
Conklin
game.
had a good year last year.
He had a decent year, and he was a good red zone target. But Uzomah, I mean, I got to see something from these guys. Like, I need to see 4 or 5 catches from tight ends. I mean, the quarterback, a check down option as a tight end, and Zach, they almost don't exist.
And here's the thing, too, Jake, with Uzomah, which I'm interested to watch now, is Jeremy Ruckert played great Monday night as a blocker. He was moving people off the ball, plowing people. That's now going to be huge, right? That the tight end, blocking tight end, they ran a lot of 3 tight end personnel Monday night. That's probably going to be a bigger part of the offense now. But when they go to 2 tight ends, does Ruckert jump Uzomah in the order? Because he's a better blocker. Uzomah is not a good blocker. And, I'm curious to see that usage-wise if Ruckert gets a bigger role now over Uzomah.
The Long Island native, 3 tight ends. The Jets are pretty strong at the position. Now I want to see them catch a ball and not just block. I want to see that. and that's on the quarterback as well. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Injury report, Kaz. Carl Lawson was a healthy scratch, right, on Monday,
Yeah.
which was a little. Were you shocked by that, or is it just because he's coming back from the injury a little bit slow? What do you think?
Shocked is probably strong, Jake, but I was surprised by it. Yeah, I mean, the Salah said they didn't want a short week this week going to Dallas. They didn't feel like him not having a lot of practice time beforehand, and then I guess he said the practice Friday was very physical. They didn't think it was a good idea for him then to play Monday. I don't know. I sounds a little suspicious to me, Jake. Like
Mhm.
they have a they have a good problem. They have too many defensive linemen, good defensive linemen. I don't know how they're going to make this work, Jake, because Will McDonald got 13 snaps Monday night,
Hmm.
and that's with Carl Long not playing.
Mhm.
So he's the number 15 pick in the draft. At some point, he's going to look around and go, "What the hell is this? I'm only playing 13 snaps." But who do you take off the field? Bryce Huff is playing really well. Jermaine Johnson's playing really well. Michael Clemens had the hit on Josh Allen. You got JFM playing really well. So it's that defensive end position in particular. Forget about the interior. Is they've got too many, which sounds crazy, Jake, right? But it's going to be hard for them to maintain harmony in that room, I think. And I don't know. I haven't seen Carl. I don't know if he was pissed off. I gotta think he wasn't happy with this decision. They said he's going to be active against Dallas, but if he's now active against Dallas, Jake, that means somebody else's reps come down. So
You got
it's
to
a
wonder
hard.
come trade deadline if one of them gets shipped
Yeah,
away. Is it
it's
Bryce
fair to.
Huff? Is it
Yeah,
Carl Lawson? I mean, one of them. If they need an offensive lineman, if Zach ends up being terrible and you need one of these backups that I mentioned the other day in a trade, maybe it's
yeah.
Bryce Huff for Jacoby Brissett or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you see that in a trade. It's
And
definitely not
remember,
a bad
Jake,
problem to have.
Carl took a pay cut this offseason too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he can't be very thrilled right now with the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Pay cut, not even active for week one. And I think Jermaine Johnson has passed him by on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious when he is active. I don't think he's the starter anymore. I think the starters are Jermaine Johnson and JFM, and then they work in the other guys. And Lawson's one of the other guys now.
Otherwise, health wise, the Jets, a
Good.
couple guys limited, Becton, Brown, Hall, but
But
otherwise, they're
that's going
pretty
to be
good
every
healthy
week.
wise.
That's
Yeah.
going to be every week, I think, with
Mm-hmm.
Hall, Becton, and Brown, right? Dwayne Brown. The three of them, I think, are going to be limited every Wednesday. They're all coming off of injuries, so that's there. Yeah, though they came through the game. I mean, with one
One
giant
injury.
exception, they came through the game healthy. But unfortunately for them, the one injury was a big one.
Yeah, the one time fairly healthy. It's only the biggest injury on the team. Well, knock on wood, because no injuries yet, but it's only week one. And now you go to Dallas where, they're going to become friends. I mean, that defense, Daniel Jones had absolutely no time. And it also shows you there's another offensive line problem in New York. Their offensive line is a lot more in shambles, I think, than the Jets offensive line. Would you agree with that?
We'll find out on
Yeah.
Sunday. We'll see. It's I think um yeah, I don't know the Giants inside and out, but I think the Giants the Giants probably have more question marks right now than the Jets even. And Becton looked good. I thought that was something that kind of got overlooked. See, he looked good. He played well in the run game. Pass blocking was dicey, but the run game he was moving people off the ball. So I thought Lake and Tomlinson did not play very well. But the other guys, at least in the run game, were pretty good.
Do you watch the all 22 or you watch the game back? What is
I
it?
haven't gotten to the all 22 yet, Jake, because this week's been insane. I usually do, but I usually watch it on Tuesdays, and Tuesday this week was nuts. I did watch the TV copy again. I watched it again.
So after watching, any other observations you have that you didn't notice watching live from the Jets?
Quincy Williams, really great game. I thought he was
Mhm.
all over the place, played well. Like I mentioned, Rucker, he jumped out watching. I think Brees, what he did is amazing, and that maybe didn't get enough attention. Like he's 10 months removed from ACL, and he was moving. He looked like the same guy he was last year. The burst that he showed, first play of the game, obviously the long run, he caught a long pass. So I thought that was really strong. Those were pretty much it. And for you mentioned like Zach Jake with the tight ends, he's got to figure out chemistry with Garrett too. Like I felt like those guys were never on the same page last year, and Garrett's numbers were much better with Joe Flacco at quarterback and Mike White at quarterback. which is weird, right? So they connected for that touchdown on Monday, but they've got to I don't know. They got to work out some chemistry, I think.
And that's the other layer of frustration with the Rodgers injury is you're basically taking away a, all-time great year that was going to happen from Garrett Wilson. You hope he has a great season, but he's not going to put anywhere near the numbers he would with Rodgers. And like you said, it's concerning that every other freaking backup quarterback he's been better with. Like you name it, he's been better with them. What happened to Chris Streveler? I know they waived him, but is he an option? Because they need like a third quarterback. Who's going to be the third quarterback?
So I have to look up the rules, Jake, but I don't think they're allowed to bring Streveler back because they waived him injured. You're not allowed to do that and then bring a guy back. I think it's I can't remember how long it is, but there's a period of time where you can't do that for. So
so who's the third quarterback? They not have one on the roster on practice
on the
squad?
roster. Yeah, they don't have one on the roster.
That's mind blowing. I mean, a lot of teams
Oh,
now
it's
you
not
could
really. You had three, and now I mean, you can't use him Sunday unless he's on the 53-man roster. You can't use him from the practice squad. So they're gonna have to sign Boyle. They'll have to sign Boyle to the active roster on Saturday. And then then they'll look to add somebody.
Well, because I know it's like the Cowboys, like you can have the third quarterback there, and as an injury designate, if both first two guys go down, you can have a third quarterback.
He has to be on the roster. He has to be on the 53-man roster. He can't be on the practice squad. So you have to use a roster spot for him. So they would have to have
safety net, especially against the Cowboys. You should have a third quarterback.
Well, I think the way most teams are going to do it, Jake, the Cowboys are weird because Trey Lance, you wouldn't stash him on the practice squad, right? Or Cooper Rush, they'd get taken by somebody. The way most teams are going to do it is they'll have two quarterbacks on the roster, then they'll have a third guy on the practice squad, and they can sign him for Sunday. They can sign him and bring him up. You can't elevate him from the practice squad. That's something different. You have to sign him to the 53-man roster, and then he'd be the emergency quarterback. But I don't know. I think Randall Cobb is probably the emergency quarterback, Jake, if I had to take a guess, because he played quarterback in college. So
might get more action doing that than passes he'll get from Zach Wilson. There's another relationship. There was jokes that Rodgers was going to retire Tuesday morning, that he was going to call it quits once he heard the Rodgers news. So we'll see.
No catches Monday night too, Jake.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't have any targets. I don't think either.
He had one. I think he had one target. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, his role has changed completely. He went from a potential he was going to be like a number 3 or number 4 to now who knows when he'll get the ball. Well, it's Jets-Cowboys Sunday 4:25 p.m. CBS. Cowboys 1-0, Jets 1-0. Cowboys, it's going to be rocking in Dallas. It's their home opener, coming off a 40-0 win in a year where, every year where they think they're a Super Bowl contender, but it's hard to say that they're not, considering that defense is pretty damn good. Dak's still good. Tony Pollard does it all in the run game and as a receiver. They got the tight ends. Break the game down, Kaz. Make your pick.
I think we've broken it down, Jake. I think this is about two things. Can the Jets defense keep them in the game and keep it close? If the offense is not going to come out rolling, I don't think. So they're going to need help from this defense, and that's kind of what you're counting on now if you're a Jets fan, right? Is this defense living up to its hype and being a top 5 defense? Can they do that? And then offensively, what can they do to help Zach Wilson and, make him – he doesn't have to win the game. You just can't have him lose the game. I think that's the key going forward right now. Can they run the ball? Can Nathaniel Hackett drop some easy throws for him? Can they break some explosive plays, Jake? Because I don't think now they can live with 14 play drives as much. They need some home runs from Brees, from Garrett, from whoever else can break one off. So that's the key to me. I don't have a score for you, Jake. I haven't really thought about a score yet. I think the Cowboys are going to win the game. I don't think it's going to be 40-0 again, but I think the Cowboys win by a pretty comfortable margin. I don't think it'll be super close, but yeah, I'll go Dallas in this one, Jay. I think I would have gone Cowboys if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback. I just think the Cowboys are a very, very good team.
The Cowboys are 8-point favorites. It sounds like, Kaz, if you were a betting man, you would be betting the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'd lay them. Yeah.
Yeah. I as much as I want to, be a homer and take the Jets, I got to take the Cowboys. I would have taken the Jets if Rodgers was there. I think Zach, when you pressure Zach, he is a disaster. I think he's going to get sacked 6 times. I think he's going to be on his ass all day. You just hope you escape this game without him getting hurt. But this is a dangerous team. Daniel Jones, he is a dog because he took some monster hits last week where I thought he was down and out for the count. And Dayball kept them until almost the bitter end. In a 40-0 game, Daniel Jones was in. If it's 40-0, Tim Boyle will be in this game. I can guarantee you that. I don't think it'll be that just because the Jets defense is just so damn good. They're going to be gassed today because they're going to be on the field a lot. There's going to be some 3-and-outs, but like you said, they got to get rid of the ball quick. They've had a whole week here to prepare. Hackett's got to change up the playbook that it fits Zach's game. I think you can't get too conservative, though. I feel like sometimes with Zach, they never try a ball past 10 yards. You gotta break one down the field at some point and trust that Garrett's going to get to it.
Here's the thing, though, Jake. You can't throw it downfield if you don't have time.
Right? Well, of course, yeah.
So, we're saying, the pass, that's why the ball's come out of his hands quick. I think it's going to be very hard for them throwing deep balls, unless I don't know, unless you do a maximum protection and have Garrett as a one receiver pattern throwing deep. Texans did that years ago with DeAndre Hopkins against the Jets, but I think it's just tough. It's going to be tough for them to throw any deep balls, Jake, because of this pass rush.
Play action, Hail Mary. It's like Madden, just Hail Mary to Garrett. Touchdown, Jets. Only if it were that easy.
4 verticals.
Yeah, 4 verticals. My favorite play when there's 2 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, so I'm going to take something like let me go with 24-13. I think the Jets keep it somewhat interesting, but the Cowboys do end up covering. I am not living in a fantasy land. This is reality. So I will take the Cowboys. And, it should be a good one, though. I think it's a good first half. It's competitive going to the third quarter, and then I think the Cowboys eventually run away with it. Well, we will talk to you all with Kaz. We'll be back Monday morning with a post-game pod. We'll close out this episode of Gangs All Here next. All righty. It's going to be a good one Sunday. I think the Cowboys will not demolish the Jets like they did the Giants, but I think the Jets keep it close enough, and, you just turn the page here. Now you just got to get over it. Rodgers is over. It completely sucks. Everything about it sucks. But now you just hope he's that motivator and he's there. After all the good PR he's had, I'd be shocked if he ends up just spending the whole year at home in California or something. Because he's got the house in New Jersey. He might go out more now. If he can move around, you might see him at the club. But I expect him to, at least come October or so when he's good to, move around and be at the stadium. I expect him to be there for his teammates. Especially if he comes back next year. He wants to be around these guys and show that he still cares so that he can rally the troops for next year and do the damn thing. But it's Jets-Cowboys, 4:00. We will drop an episode on Monday morning. We'll record late night Sunday. We'll have it out for your morning commute on Monday. As that says, goodnight to episode 148 of Gangs All Here at Jets Podcast from the New York Post. Thanks to Andrew Hartz for helping me in producing the show. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio. Follow Kaz at Brian Kaz, and catch up on all episodes you may have missed. Subscribe to Gangs All Here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you want to watch full episodes and clips from the shows, go to that New York Post Sports YouTube page. Subscribe there. Find that Gangs All Here playlist. Follow that, and you'll get updated on all new episodes. Watch full uncut episodes. Give us a thumbs up. Comment below. Are you cool with Zach Wilson running the ship? Do you feel confident? There's a lot of newfound confidence. I'm like, where are you getting this from? Zach Wilson's been terrible. He wasn't god awful last week, but he wasn't good enough that if the defense wasn't elite, it would win them football games. So we got to see it. It's your time now, Zach. You got one more time. One more time. That's it. It's the last dance. Last dance for Zach. It really is. Because if he screws up this time, that's a wrap, at least in his Jets career. We'll see where he would wind up. But he's got one chance, one opportunity. Will he capture it or let it slip? I'll leave you on that note. We'll talk to you Monday, everybody. Thanks for listening to Gangs All Here.